Hey guys, it's me, Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy. How are you doing today? Today we're going to talk about my favorite subject, our favorite subject, which is sales. Recently, I got an opportunity to do some business with a company, but they wanted me to jump through some hoops. And one of the hoops that they wanted me to jump through was they wanted me to write an essay. Okay, and I hadn't written an essay, I'm going to tell you what, for a long, long time. It's just 3 paragraphs, and they wanted me to do it on one page, and they gave me a couple of topics, and the one that I chose really rings in my mind a lot. And I had to share this with you because, see, if you care about your future, you got to remember there are going to be key people in your lives that'll help you to be successful. You got to remember those people. Now, not everybody's perfect, and this may not be the person that you admire the most. And our topic for today is selling. Who is the person I admire the most? It's a little short, little thing here. Let me read it to you. And again, when this person heard it, it made him cry. It made me cry because I choked up on it because it took me like 10 minutes, and I got some help with with the commas and the things like that, periods and so much, so forth, the spelling and grammar and so forth from my son Dominic Stanley. He's really, really good at making sure that, hey, it makes sense. And it was very short. It didn't take long. It took me like 10 minutes and took him a couple of seconds to just find a couple of things that were not spelled correctly and so forth. But here we go. The topic for the day is the person I admire the most. If I had to be honest, I would have to say the person that I admire the most is my mother. You're probably asking yourself, why is a mother? I chose my mother because she had 3 boys at a very early age and without any outside help from our family, from our fathers, or the government. She raised us all to be self reliant and for us to strive to be the best we could become. My mother always had time for me and my brothers. She always worked 2 or 3 jobs for years to make ends meet. My mother to me is what I would call an American success story. She never made a lot of money, but she bought her own home and paid it off. As a kid, we had very little, but we always had plenty. That sounds a little strange, right? To be honest with you, by today's standard, we were poor. My mother gave till she could give no more. We grew up in an era that if you asked for welfare, you were looked down on. We grew up in an era that if you asked for welfare again, you were looked down on. Welfare to my mother was taboo. My mother always said, if you have children, you raise your children and never depend on anyone, especially the government, for help. I guess to most people today, that was stubborn pride. But to me, she wore that like a badge of honor. My mother taught me to work hard and smart and to only depend on myself and God. My mother taught us that if you want something, get off your ass and go for it. She said no one will help you if you don't help yourself first. She said to us at least 1,000 times, if not more, you can do anything you put your mind, heart, and soul into. She would often say, don't let anyone steal your dreams. My mother is my hero. I guess I was lucky. I got the best mom in the world. The question was, who do I admire the most? Would have admire the most? Would have to say it 1,000,000 times. It would be my most awesome mother. Thank you, Mom. I love you. I'm going to share this with you. You know, there's a lot of people out there that need a big old bear hug, so I'm going to give you one. There are people out there that are negative, who put people down, who tear people down. But you have got to find someone that you admire, somebody that's building people up, not destroying. I got fortunate. I had a good mother. I had a great mother. Didn't have no dads in the mix growing up. But I was very fortunate that I was able to have someone who cared about me. Now, I ain't saying my mom wasn't tough. She was really, 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 really tough. She was very strict, but she made sure that I did the fundamentals, the basics. You know, we take these things for granted, like wash your butt, clean your room, brush your teeth, go to school, pay your bills. This is how you do it. She was always harping on, you can do this, Gary. It didn't matter what endeavor that I chose. It didn't matter. It was like, I always had this like, Mom, it's tough. She said, yeah, but you're going to get to the other side. And what you think is so important today is not going to be that important next year. But she says, strive for success. Do your best. She gave me a gift to want to be the best that I could be. Now, I'm not where I want to be yet. I'm still striving. I'm still working hard. But I have to give her credit. You know, who's the person that I admire? I admire my mother. I mean, she always worked so hard. I mean, it was like she did the right next thing and she taught me. I used to sit and watch her pay bills and stuff, and then we'd have very little money, but we always seemed to make ends meet, and I give God the glory for that. And it taught me not to quit, even when it got really, really hard. Who do you admire? Who's the person in your life that made a difference? It doesn't necessarily have to be your parents. Not every parent is a good parent. I still struggle being a parent. I still want to be the best, and I want my son to have the best that he can have. But, you know, sometimes we butt heads. There are some people out there that don't even have parents, who don't have what I've had. Again, we didn't have a lot, but I'm very rich. I'm very, very rich. Who do you admire? Who do you admire? Now, there's some motivational speakers. A man named Dwayne Dabrowski, who got me to start watching, you know, and listening to audio on motivational materials, like Zig Ziglar, who I love very much. Brian Tracy, unbelievable. And Tom Hopkins, who taught you the basics, closings, and the fundamentals. They all had their way, but I admire them and I want to be like them. You know, there's some really great people out there. You know, when I first got into sales, it wasn't that easy. I didn't know what I was doing, and it took years for me to get better and better and better at it. So what I'm sharing with you is, where you're at today, you can become a success really, really quick. But you need to remember where you come from. Admire those people that helped you. Now, if you're a self-made millionaire, if you're a self person, you got to remember the small people that helped you along the way. You know, for some people, it's a teacher. I remember a good teacher, Miss Blanco, when I was a kid. I admire her a lot. She was a really nice lady. I was in middle school. And I remember being, you know, in her class, and we'd have to get up in front of the class and do book reports. And she would let me get up and do a book report. And, you know, I read the first page, a couple pages, and I read the end. And then I'd get up and I'd make up a story. She says to me, Gary, you are going to be successful one day. You come up with some of the best stuff that I've seen. And she was very sincere about it. But she said, Gary, I read that book and you didn't read it. So she says, I'm going to give you a D. You deserve an A because you came up with something that was so cool. But she said, you know, I have to do the right thing. And you know what? It made me feel good. So after that, I never did fudge as far as my book reports or anything like that are concerned. But, you know, I admire that lady because she was honest. She could have, you know, let me pass, whatever. But, you know, I ended up making I think about a C in her class or whatever. But that was really cool. There are a lot of people that you have in your life that have given you some things. I got a list, I write down the people that are there for me, who've been there for me. There's been some preachers, there's been some teachers, there's been some young people that I admire, there's been some managers, there's some people that were salespeople that I admire that have helped me. There are business owners and successful people, people that I admire who've helped me to be successful in the world of selling. Am I where I want to be? I'm not there yet. And if I get there, that will be great. But I will strive for success because the person that originally gave me the backbone to want to do more and not to be a wimp was my mother. I don't know if you have a mother or father like that. Find somebody that you admire. Think about that. Who do you admire? It could be somebody that you're working with right now. Somebody's going to admire you one day. My simple job today was to let you know there are mentors, there are people out there who can help you to become successful. And my name is Gary Lee Stanley. I am your sales guy. And, I would hope maybe one day somebody would admire me, my son, people out there, I don't know. But I do want to be what you would call a mentor. You're important and we matter. If no one's told you lately, you do matter. Look for people who can help build you up. Look for people who can give you a direction that's a positive direction. We live in a world today where people are angry, frustrated, tearing each other down, destroying things, making things look worse than they are. But if somebody would just give them a big old bear hug and tell them it's going to be all right, let them know that, hey, there is a better way. Who do you admire? Who helped you? Are you helping someone else? Are you helping someone get to the next level? Are you helping another salesperson become successful that can be much better than you? Don't be jealous. Don't be haters. Be kind. Be considerate. That way when people look back, they'll say, I remember this person. I remember this guy. I remember this lady. I remember this person that helped walk me through this process. Don't forget where you come from. Don't forget that if you think you've arrived, somebody helped you. I don't care who you are. Somebody had to give you something that put you in a direction. That may not always be positive. It could have been somebody negative. But if you have a heart, give it away. Strength is given only because it's earned. So give strength to others. And the question was today, the person I admire the most, I admire my mother. I love God with all my heart, and I admire you for trying to want to be successful. You can do anything you put your mind into. You can do anything you put your heart into. But you got to work your ass off, guys. You got to do the best you can do. And remember, if you have somebody you admire, write a little short essay about them. Show it to them. It might make them cry like it made my mama cry. It made me cry. Because it gave me hope. It gave me a direction. Remember, there are people out there who need us. There are people out there like you and me that people admire because we try so hard to be the best we can be, to be successful. You don't think people are watching you? They are. So what I have to do is I have to do better. Give me permission to be successful. Give me permission to be the best that Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy, can be. Give me permission to be awesome. I give you permission. So go out there and sell something. Be nice to somebody today. Admire somebody that can help you to be successful. Have a nice day. All right.